hopefully this works. We're gonna see. Um, I tried with all the TikTok restrictions for unoriginal content. I thought it was because I was screen recording on OBS. I tried not screen recording, and I was still getting the violation. I don't know. I don't know what to do. And like no one is joining. I made two videos, well, one today and one yesterday, and maybe it's because it's 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. That could be the case, Brady. But I can't. I have work in the morning. I get up at 4:30 on Wednesday through Sunday, and I just cannot be on at like 8 o'clock because that's when I go to bed. But I can try again in the afternoon if this doesn't work out, and go from there. That's what I'm thinking. That is what I'm thinking. Boop 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 boop. Oh man, we had one person stick around yesterday. I think 457. That was their name. Hello, welcome in, welcome in. And they left because they're like, this guy's evil. Yee. One guy stuck around, or person, I don't know who they were. And they were chatting with me, which was nice of them. Hello, welcome in, welcome in. And they leave. Um, oh man, welcome in. How can I say it differently? Pencil, welcome in. And they leave. So I don't know how to make people stay. What are people looking for in the first place? Like debates. I don't. We can debate if we want. I don't. I don't know. Well, this is kind of a not really a debate. It's I explained it away. I explain it away to people right away because they're like, "Why you think you're evil?" I'm like, "No, no, just listen, listen." I will explain it right now. So I don't really believe evil exists, right? But other people do, so we have to freaking deal with it. It's a contradiction on purpose. It's like how we look at evil. Because if you call people evil, it gives them more power, and I can explain that. So I think we have to look at it as something that doesn't exist, or we have to like to get to the idea of it existing. But we don't call humans this. Um, and because look, people have called me evil before, and they are afraid. Literally, I petrified a woman at a hospital. She was singing a Jesus song, and literally, I chimed in. Well, she was very like nervous and afraid singing it, and I chimed in. I was so majestic with it, and like she literally just pointed and looked at me like, well, it wasn't like in an amused way. It was like shocked, and she was pointing. I'm like, I petrified her, and I got tackled to the ground by two guys, and then pinned down to the 4x4 people, and I was like, "You've seen it, haven't you? You've seen it. You've seen it, and I can tell you've seen it because you're nodding your head and you're not looking at me." And it's just crazy manic stories, but I I you give the person more power if you call them evil. You can call me bad or wrong, and I'm accountable to my actions that I've done in the past, and I would say that's better. Um, but evil, we shouldn't call humans evil. It's bigger than what we think, and it gives a lot of power to people. Look, someone close to me has called me that word evil, and um, I did something that did scare them. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone, uh, but people at that situation were not listening to me, but at the same time, I was not in the right for doing it. So I am accountable to this, right? But they called me this name, and I, and they have PTSD because of what I've done. And deep down subconsciously, if they don't think about this consciously, they don't maybe admit it to themselves, but deep down subconsciously, they think something is driving me to do this stuff. And and it's sad. I think as this might be a wild take, but I think if you developed PTSD as an adult, you're doing it to yourself. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I PTSD from not like going to war and like seeing like stuff like that. See, this is why it's risky saying this stuff because I need to clarify. Uh, if if people were not hurt in the situation, hurt. What's that mean, Brady? Because people can be hurt emotionally. So I'm figuring this out in real time. God damn it. Uh, I'm figuring this out in real time, talking to you right now, because it's good to talk about these things out loud and understand where I'm going with it. Um, so PTSD is complicated, but I think it has to do with obviously fear being the root of it, and and for this particular incident, I don't blame the person for being in fear. It makes sense where they came from and the situation I put them in, um, and things I've done. I've man, it's I don't I don't blame them, and I'm accountable to my actions here. But I think it's lack of thinking. And look, getting PTSD as a child, I think is different because you're not equipped with the mindset or the tools to handle these things. And I think this is why we should teach like how to think properly. And what do you mean by that, Brady? But uh, looking at your inner demons and fearlessly looking inwards as we get older, we should normalize trying to understand ourselves and other people, and not just like push it under the rug and ignore it until something comes up where we become like resentful or whatever in the future. I think I'm going all over the place here, but obviously if you're an adult and you're or young adult going to war and you see your buddy's arm getting blown off and you get PTSD from that, I don't blame, like that's scary, that's terrible, like you're seeing like hell on earth in a sense. um so how do we work with people with PTSD? Because I believe we could, through technology, like with storytelling and technology, we can cure all mental illnesses. I believe this is something that we can do, and I believe we can do it within my lifetime. And I want to work really closely with people who are able to do this. I don't know where to find them. That's where I'm going on TikTok right now and speaking my mind so I can become influential enough to like go out there and talk to like-minded individuals who want to do better for the collective whole as humanity to make us all better. So when it comes to PTSD with people who go to war, that's like beyond me. I met one person in Alabama who was a medic, and he shared some stories, and uh, and it's really it's I would like to talk to more people who experience this stuff, right? And he was really a really good dude, Mr. Jeremiah. I love you, dude. I love you. Yeah, I said that. You're amazing. And you called me when I was manic, and I was at a concert, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? I'm at a concert, but I answered you anyways. And I know you're probably not watching this, but this is where prayer comes into. It's like I'm talking to you, and I'm hoping the best for you because you mean a lot to me. You taught me a lot at work, and you were someone I looked up to, and this is I'm just going all over the place, right? But this is great. I'm just rambling, and I'm feeling more safe talking to myself right now in front of a camera. And I'm just letting my mind go wherever it needs to go because I'm thinking about PTSD, but I got sidetracked by Jeremiah. But Jeremiah, I love you, buddy. Buddy, no. Buddy sounds weird sometimes, doesn't it? So I love you, man. I love you, man. Anyways, um, let's see here. PTSD with people who are adults, without being violent. Without being violent. Hmm. I still think it's rooted in like believing the other person is evil or if there's an evil act. And I think we ought to not treat people as if they are like divine or evil as humans. We are human beings. We're human beings because both ways can Projection of belief, I think, is where I'm trying to get at. It's a dangerous thing. Imagine, you grow up in a neglected household, like where you're emotionally neglected, and it's chaotic, and there's not a lot of good things happening. And as a child, you're very confused, and you hear a lot of things, and you believe in yourself that you're not good, and that becomes a part of your foundation. And then as you become an adult, it becomes harder to navigate life in some ways, in many different ways. But that doubt of the individual as the person, uh, they typically have troubles in some sorts of way, or like they don't believe in themselves enough when really, like, these individuals usually do good for other people. Like, this is me, for instance. I was very anxious. I was social, like, awkward, still awkward. You know, that's never gonna go away. Um, but I didn't, like, socially anxious. I didn't know how to talk to people properly. And like 1 year ago from today, I don't think I'd be on TikTok or talking to people on YouTube or whoever's watching this. If it wasn't for an individual in my life, well, two individuals. We can get there later. Um, but I I what where am I getting at with this? Yeah, it was scary to talk to people because I was so afraid of what other people thought, and I just wanted to be my best. But it's really interesting because, like, with other things, I would excel at, and my career I excelled at, you know, music, art, um, you know, sports back in high school. Like, I would try different things. I'd figure out a way to do it my own way, and I would excel. But, like, with talking to people, it was hard, and talking to myself was difficult too because I didn't see myself in a positive light. And it took me a little bit, like, just recently, honestly, to really understand how to regulate myself, to talk to myself properly, and to be, just to be. Like, I'm not reading a script right now. I'm just letting my subconscious or conscious thoughts just flow, and I think it's good because I'm not doubting myself. I'm believing what I know now, as a person who's held off for so long from saying I'm good, to be like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty cool. I think I'm pretty brilliant. And it it's one of those things where I hear it from people first. I go in my mind, and then I go out into the world, and then if I hear it from a person, I ought to take it in, and understand why they said that, right? Because when it came to compliments in the past, I didn't take them very well, because, like, it's not like I didn't think they meant it. It's just it was hard for me to understand. It was hard for me to take it in because I didn't believe it, right? And that's sad. And I think it's really interesting how that works. And it starts how you're raised, and how the environment shaped your life, I believe. And I think we have to be careful how we talk to children and how we project belief. And so if people have PTSD from their childhood, I can understand. Um, let's see here. I talked about those two people that were influential. Two women in my life, I met last year, 2025, or was the first one 2024? One ignited the flame, the other fanned it, and it grew, and I was able to just be myself. And if it wasn't for those two individuals, I would not be who I am today. I'm very much thankful for who they are in my life, and it's a beautiful thing. And yeah, it's really interesting how people can influence other people, and I think that's partly why I'm on here, trying to talk to people. If anyone comes up, please. But I got a restriction, so I'm just talking to YouTube and to the void right now. Um, but that's partly why I'm trying to talk with people, is to, we can activate other people to be for other people too, and just at that point it just exponentially grows, I believe. Like, who knows the impact I'm gonna have on someone I randomly encounter. Like, this is why I try to be, like, super nice to, like, people that work, like, at gas stations, or waiters or waitresses or customer service. Is like, you smile, and you smile at them, and you that shows, something. It's physical. You can see uh, something pleasant, and I believe I have a good smile because I've been told that, and I like it, and I want to share it with people because I want to make them happy, and just talking nicely and saying yes sir, yes ma'am. I think that's just something I wasn't taught that by my dad, but it's just something that kind of came to me where I'm like, I want to be respectful of people because I see they're helping in ways that they might not feel that they are helping, and we're all we're all trying to do that. I think in some way, shape, or form, trying to help other people, and I think that's at least my purpose on this earth is to help people. I want to help people. But I also think, and this is interesting. I want to work with more people, but I want to understand more people and talk with them and work with them because I think we all have a hidden potential to be geniuses in our own ways, right? I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm not saying I know everything, but I know what I don't know to remain open-minded, curious, and understanding. And if you don't have those three, it's hard to get to where I've gotten to with my mindset, right? You ought to be this way, and this is something I've held as a standard even when I was socially anxious and depressed and not in a good state of mind, right? So it's really interesting. And um, where was I going with this? I don't know. And from here, I'm just yammering and yapping. Uh, we can. I don't know. I don't know what to do about TikTok not allowing me to talk to people. I'm gonna end the live, and I'm going to try it one more time. Una más. One more. And I don't know if I'm gonna do this one. I'm just gonna change it to help me understand you. Oh yeah, we're talking about PTS, but evil. So we can. I don't know. What do we want to talk about that anymore? Uh, we ought to be careful what we call humans, even to ourselves, like in our own minds, like how we think about people. Because I think we're connected more than we think, or more than we know as a collective. And how we talk to people is important, not just face to face, but like on our own too. Like if we're wishing for bad, we better be careful. We better be careful. I'm not saying it like always happens, but um, it's just really interesting. I got stories, and appeal, not approved, appeal, not approved, appeal, not approved, appeal, not approved. Well, damn. Um, I feel like what I talked about, at least on YouTube for OBS, was productive, so I might post this one. It's only 18 minutes, but I've been on since like 9. No, hasn't been that long. 9:30, about an hour, and literally no one is coming up, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Am I wasting my time? But Brady, be patient. Be patient, Brady. There's a voice in my head, and I'll listen to that voice because, damn it, why not? And this is where it becomes interesting because a woman in my life, um, I I I would listen to her. Whatever she said is going to be accurate if she talked to me about it because she sees me in, well, she saw me in such a way where I wasn't seeing myself at the time, and um, at least not like completely. And I've kind of incorporated her to be like a positive voice, but I've kind of shifted it. It was really interesting. Without talking too much about it, it was interesting to have a voice in my head that was positive because when I was a kid, I couldn't do anything right. Like my dad just like literally was just like hard on me in so many ways. Like if I spilt water on the floor, I'd get fucking chewed out, and and like his voice became my voice and my voice became negative, and it's like it's at that point, if you're treating someone that you created in such a way like this, it's just like, what is going on? But there's reasons for it, and it gets complicated. But I'm not bitter, and I can't be bitter, else I wouldn't be who I am today right now. And I understand enough to where we're still talking with each other, and that's one thing, Dad. And it's what it is. It is what it is. But I've been able to incorporate this person, this wonderful person, into my mind, and and I hear their voice, and I'm like, yeah, I'll listen to you. But it's also helped me like talk to myself there, as if like future Brady is talking and pinging into me. Like I can understand my own voice too. So I'm it's internal dialogue, guys. It's just a way to think about it in psychological terms. I think how we tell ourselves stories about life in general, I think is meaningful and impactful. Like we've been telling stories like ever since we've been able to probably be conscious in the first place, and um, it's really interesting because we understand life better that way, right? But the stories we tell ourselves, I think, are important too. Like what is driving us to be going forward and prospering and progressing and being a good person. And I don't think people think about this on their own. They tend to uh, I, not a lot at least, unless we wouldn't be seeing people with on both sides of the spectrum for political parties being like, not everyone's hateful, but like there's a polarity going on where uh, we've been distant, like we've just been separated in such an extreme way where we can't get along. And that's one thing I want to try to be like a bridge between the two, or between ideas, like different religions. I want to understand different religions, but we typically see debates on TikTok, and it's Parker's good because he listens and he's like really patient with people. But if people are disingenuous, he really like gets out after them. God damn it, visibility restricted. And of course there's zero people. Um, I think Parker goes about it, and Dean, they go about it in a good way. Good Trouble, he's good. He is good. Like he is right to like he has the right to like be this way. I talked with him when I was manic, and I tried to explain in the best way that we shouldn't be hateful, because it's understandable, but he's hateful in an understandable way, and not in a bad way, but well, it's a way that's not going to connect people. It's waking people up, which I think might be a good thing if people are just tuning in and don't know which side to like understand. It's waking them up to the ideas that he's advocating for. I think is fantastic, but the way he talks with people on the other side are just is witty and he's hilarious, but it comes out as aggressive, and I think that's why he doesn't get a lot of people up on the opposing side on his thing, is because he's right in his own way, but it kind of just like what's the word uh hmm deflects, or doesn't attract people, because I think they're intimidated by him. Which good, they better be because Sam, he's good. He's good. He's good. But damn it, that's why I brought up Daryl Davis, buddy. Because like we have to have love for these people who are not the smartest, right? And we have to guide them in the right way. It's like I think it's Plato with the cave. Like people are seeing like 2D projections of their shadows on the wall, and they're just like and they're living in a cave and they don't know what the outside world is like. But one caveman comes outside and sees there's a sun that's actually hitting their faces, and it's like they see the 3D world outside, and they're trying to convince the caveman inside that there's more to the world outside than what you know. And uh, that caveman that goes outside into the 3D world, seeing things for what they are, has the responsibility to teach properly and not misinform people. right? I think once we have the knowledge of understanding how the world works a little bit more than what we did before, we have the responsibility to teach it in a way that can help other people understand what that means, right? And I think if we understand stuff in the simplest way, we can communicate in the simple. Like we have to simplify uh, this, and like that means you can understand that if you understand the topic well enough, you can simplify it for other people to understand in ways. And this is why I like using like numbers, and I did this in Mania, and I still think it's interesting how I went here. But like if we ignore right, um, if we ignore the six evil, right? Um, Look, we can count, and what comes after one, and someone who just doesn't know numbers, like because numbers were a new thing at one point, right? And they're probably zero, zero. No, what comes after one? Zero. It's like no, it's one, zero, one, two, zero, and it's like no, come on, guys, and you can't get frustrated at this person for like not understanding an abstract concept like numbers, right? You have to teach them, and we do this with children, and we talk to these people in a way that they can comprehend. So they probably aren't saying zero, but like imagine like a new idea coming into fruition. I'm just speaking on my kissel, and look, the like I understand a metaphor for the first time. For the first time, a person used a metaphor. Like, what did cavemen just like? So I imagine it. I imagine a stupid story going like this, right? Where a caveman held a stone up to the sky, and and he said stone like sun, because they're both round, right? Maybe, I don't know. And like the caveman's son is like, "Don't stone me, Dad," and like he gets scared, and or maybe people just become so afraid that the stone is the sun, and this guy is like a prophet, and they stone him to death because he's a false prophet. I don't know. I'm just spitting out ideas, but new ideas tend to be scary. Tend to be scary. Um, and we ought to treat new ideas as something to not be afraid of, but to be curious, be understanding, and open-minded. That's where it all comes from, guys. And I'm trying to look back at new ideas that have happened and wonder why people haven't gotten there in the first place. And I think it's because the person's mind goes to such an extreme where it's not typical by the mass or the collective. Uh, and and this is why, like being in Mania, like I went to the extreme with a lot of different things, right? Like with different ideas I can get into, but good and bad. And I've fallen off the cliff, and I've scratched my way up to the top, and I'm here to talk about it now. And I think I have a lot of insightful ideas, and I think this is why I just want to talk with people so much. Um, but gosh, I'm just rambling, and I just wish I can talk to a person. Why can't I just talk to a person? Um, hmm. Sorry, that was kind of weird. Um, um, and this is why I think we all have the capability to be brilliant in our own ways. And man, I don't want to go there, Brady. And okay, good. Um, we we have so much potential as humans, and I think there's a lot more to the human mind, body, and soul than we actually understand. Like as a collective, like again, and it's I'm just absolutely curious to connect with people so we can figure this out together. Because, like I said, I don't know everything, but I know what I don't know to remain curious, open minded, and understanding. And with those three things, we can get very far together. And not being selfish in the process too. I think there's a lot of people in power that have the resources to fix the world, but they don't. I'm not saying all of them, But we get Elon Musk with like billions and billions of dollars, and like how I don't even comprehend what $1 billion is, or $1 million. I can't comprehend that much money. But like you see the world, and you wonder like why isn't this guy trying to do something with it? Like he is like doing like SpaceX and Tesla and all that shit, but we don't need to develop new technology. We need to get everyone on board. We need to help people get on board. Like the ship is kind of sinking, but like we need to help people reach their potential. And once everyone is at their potential, then we can create more technology. Because technology is just going to get more complicated and complicated and complicated, and there's going to be a reaction and a reaction and a reaction and a reaction until we all die and everything ceases to exist, right? And there's something really interesting with all these reactions going on, right? Is how do we get to the point where this is not going to happen? And I don't have fear that this is going to happen. I don't worry. I'm so much kind of in tune with just my own self, and there's signs that I see that I am on the right path, and that's just for me. And I don't know if I can prove that to anyone else, but I know what my path is right now, and it's it's working out, and I don't worry about this, even though it can't happen. It should be motivation more than anything to wake the fuck up and fix yourself, fix other things, and fix yourself. What do you mean by fix yourself? Like fearlessly look inwards and do the work, so unnecessary suffering doesn't continue to happen. There's always going to be suffering, right? Well, that's a knowledge claim, and I'll be careful about that because I think once we get to a collective unit, as we can objectively take things wherever the frick we want. We can go to Denver, and we can we can all, like, every single human, go to Denver, and we can have a good time and party. But we can also all jump at the same time and land and push the Earth 3.5 feet. Why not? We can just do stupid shit, and I think if not in my lifetime, in someone's lifetime, we'll be in a place where we're taking care of every single person because we see them as our brothers and sisters and children, and like we how we look how we act around children, how we talk to children. Like we ought to see them as higher than us, right? So this is the idea. Like, so my uncle implanted numbers in my mind when I was manic once, but it's a good way to explain it. So zeros, I would say, are people who are not activated, and ones are people who can like we're teachers. We're people who are like we understand things, like, and people can be in the middle between the two, right? But I believe children are twos. Like they are very much absorbing so much information. They're sponges. They're not really afraid of what to say. I mean, unless like bad stuff has happened, and then they get pulled back down. But I still think we treat them as like higher than us. Like they are so important, because they are going to take. They're gonna be in the future and run the world, and we want the best for the future, right? So we treat them as higher, and then animals are like different. But that gets we get into a whole different topic with how we treat animals, and I'm still figuring out that for myself, because as a person who eats meat, I am agnostic still if I should do that, or if I should become like a vegan, and I don't know if I want to, because I just like meat, and steaks are good, guys. I'm sorry, but maybe we can artificially grow those in the lab, and they'll taste the same, and I'll be okay, whatever. And maybe at that point we can decide what we want to do with animals, and then maybe we tame animals, and animals become our friends, and we can where we can go anywhere with this, right? Because how do we know that animals are not more intelligent than us? Like what's going on in their minds, right? And we can just literally think about all this stuff, and it just goes wherever. But this is why I think we ought to be very careful how we talk to children, because they absorb so much information, and think if anyone just like, hmm, how do I phrase this? Doubting themselves when it shouldn't be doubted. But how do you know when you shouldn't doubt yourself? I think you just know internally what that means. But how do you not become egotistical? And I think that's a journey that each person has to take for themselves. How do I know I'm not egotistical? Well, I've done. I mean, how do we even define egotistical? Let's do that. Because I'm really just talking out of my butthole, but it's not really talking out of my butthole, and I'm not trying to doubt myself. Egotistical possesses an inflated, often inaccurate sense of self-importance, frequently acting arrogant, conceited, and boastful. I don't think I'm doing that, and I'm very, I think, humble in ways that I haven't seen in a lot of people. Um, and I can say that because holy shit, I've been doing the work for quite some time, at least since 2021, trying to understand who the frick I am, so I don't repeat the mistakes of my mom and my dad. And it's man, um, I've really been doing the work, and I see things in other people that they might not see in themselves too. Just like with anyone, like I think that's common, but I'm self-aware too. I think it used to be my detriment, but more so to like I understand how I'm coming across. Like I've been self-aware since oh man, I, since I can remember. Like how I felt. I I I was very skeptical as a kid, right? Because like uh because yeah, just a lot of hard times happening. But where am I getting at with this, Brady? Uh, I don't know. I'm just rambling to myself. I should probably just get outside and. Oh man, I should probably get outside. If you listen to this, thank you. And I'm gonna go outside and eat a granola bar. Goodbye.